At this point, for Section 3, you should have already read over the Getting Started material because that outlines the three main causes of the American Revolution and our battle with the British. Also, you should have taken a look at the video on the Declaration of Independence. So now we're going to jump right to the first government of the United States of America. Ironically, it was not even called the United States of America because the states were not united. Our first document was called the Articles of Confederation. Now, a union, as in the United States of America, would mean that the 13 new states worked together under one united banner. The Articles of Confederation, a confederation is a loose alliance of states, meaning that the states agree to be friends, but the states have more power individually than one central government. Under the Articles of Confederation, it was drastically different compared to what we have today. Under the Articles of Confederation, there was no executive branch, there was no judicial branch. There was only a legislative branch. The legislative branch has the word legislature in it, a group of people chosen to make the laws. Our legislative branch has Congress. This was the only branch in the national government under the Articles of Confederation. And Congress had limited powers. Congress could raise armies, and Congress could declare war. Congress could sign treaties with other countries. But Congress could not raise taxes. It could not raise money. If the people aren't taxed, then the government does not have money. And at this point in time in history, our newly freed country needed money, revenue, income, in order to, number one, pay back the French who had helped us to win the revolution, and number two, to pay back the soldiers who had fought in the revolution. Many of them at this point had not gotten paid. Another problem is that Congress could not regulate trade and collect tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on imports. Imports are goods that are coming into the country. If Congress cannot tax foreign-made goods coming into our country, then people would be more likely to buy those foreign-made goods than they would be to buy American. When Congress puts a tariff on an import, it raises the price of that foreign-made good, which makes American goods look more tempting because they are cheaper. But Congress did not have this power. So we're a newly freed country at this point in time in history, and we don't have any type of money-making agenda because we cannot tax and they cannot put taxes on imports. This is going to pose a big problem. Now, the reason why the states wanted to limit the power of Congress was because they wanted to prevent tyranny. Tyranny, remember, is the abuse of power. They did not want to give any opportunity for another tyrannical monarch to take control of their new country, or any one individual to take control of their country. They believed that the people should hold the most power. And in this case, the people is better represented by their individual states. They believed that the leaders of their individual states would better know what the people needed. So most of the power is with each of the 13 individual states, not with the national government. The states limited the power within each of their governing bodies by separating their seats of government into the three branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. And in the executive branch, they made sure they limited the governor's term in office. Now that still holds true today. States were independent of one another, which means that they did not have to work together. If they had a conflict with trade issues, then that could escalate into a war. In fact, there were instances where some states were declaring war on other states over trade issues, and the states even had their own currency or money. which caused more problems with trade, because if you went from New York to Pennsylvania, for example, you would have to convert your money. And as far as participation goes for the states in the National Congress, each state had one vote in the National Congress. Now, the issue of Congress not being able to raise money is what's going to cause problems to escalate, and it's going to force people to rethink that maybe we should have given our national government some more power. Daniel Shea was a farmer in Massachusetts, and he had fought in the Revolutionary War, and he was one of the men who returned to his farm and had still not received his pay for his war efforts. And what happened was, not only were him and many other men who had returned to their farms and their regular day jobs, not only had they not received their pay for their war efforts because Congress could not tax, they also were not able to make a profit off of their farm goods. They weren't making any sales because everybody was still buying foreign-made products. The reason why everybody was still buying foreign-made products was because, number one, they were better made, and number two, at this point, they were cheaper because Congress could not put a tax on them. So these men have absolutely no income because everybody's buying foreign-made goods because Congress cannot tax the foreign-made goods, and they still did not receive their pay. On top of this, even though Congress could not tax, individual states could, and Massachusetts levied taxes on the land of farmers. These men have no income, and now they are being taxed. Daniel Shea leads an uprising. It escalates to the point where they storm through courthouses and they're gaining more and more momentum and more power, and it really scares people into realizing that our national government should have been given some power, because the way we have our government set up under the Articles of Confederation is not beneficial to the people. This concludes our Section 3 presentation. You should move on to the check for understanding, and at this point you should start looking at the unit project, because it's going to be something that you can pose as we go through the unit on the government in the first quarter of semester 1.